Hello and welcome to the English YouTuber. So in today's video, we are going to read the short story, The Midnight Visitor, which is written by Robert Arthur. So before we go into the line by line explanation, first let's listen to the summary of the story. The protagonist in this story is Ausable, who is a very heavy and large man. He is a secret agent, whereas Fowler is a writer. He was disappointed or let down as they had a very ordinary day which did not involve any danger or life threatening challenges. However, as they returned to the room, there was a turn of events where a man named Max was waiting for them in the darkness to steal an important report from Ausable. Meanwhile, Ausable made up a story about a balcony outside the window through which intruders got in. Just then, when there was a knock on the door, Max was informed that the police had been called as Ausable had already anticipated about such a situation. Max was oblivious to the fact that the person outside the door was the waiter with their room service. In order to escape the police, Max jumps into the balcony through the window only to find out that there was no balcony and ultimately jumps to his death. So, this is how the detective quickly eliminated his rival by thinking on his feet during a very grave situation. So, this is how a boring day ends up unexpectedly becoming a dangerous and an adventurous one. So now let's go into the detailed line by line explanation of the story. Ausable did not fit any description of a secret agent Fowler had ever read. So Fowler was a writer and Ausable was a secret agent. But Fowler had never read about such a secret agent. So let's see what was different about Ausable or what made him unique. Following him down the musty corridor. So, the meaning of the word musty is an unpleasant or an old and wet smell. So, that is called musty. Corridor of the gloomy French hotel where Ausable had a room. Fowler felt let down. So, Fowler was disappointed. Or another word for disappointed is disheartened or let down. It was a small room on the sixth and top floor and scarcely a setting for a romantic adventure. So, Fowler wanted an adventure, he wanted something exciting, but the day turned out to be boring or mundane. So, another word for the word boring is mundane. Ausable was, for one thing, fat, very fat. So they are saying he was very healthy or hefty. And then there was his accent. Though he spoke French and German passably, he had never altogether lost the American accent he had brought to Paris from Boston 20 years ago. You are disappointed, Ausable said, Weasley Weasley over his shoulder. You were told that I was a secret agent, a spy, dealing with espionage. Espionage means spying. And danger. You wish to meet me because you are a writer, young and romantic. You envisioned mysterious figures in the night, the crack of pistols, drugs in the wine. So, if they ask you a question, why was Fowler disappointed? Because Fowler was disappointed because the entire day was a letdown. There was no excitement, and the writer had envisioned or anticipated mysteries to unsolve, and mysterious figures in the night, the crack of pistols, and wine spiked with drugs. Instead, you have spent a dull evening in a French music hall with a sloppy fat man who, instead of having messages slipped into his hand by dark eyed beauty, gets only a prosaic telephone call, making an appointment in his room. So, what is the meaning of the word prosaic? Prosaic means ordinary or common. So, he's saying instead you had a very boring day. You have been bored. The fat man chuckled to himself as he unlocked the door of his room and stood aside to let his frustrated guest enter. The frustrated guest is Fowler. You are disillusioned, Oswald told him. But take cheer, my young friend. Presently you will see a paper, a quite important paper, for which several men and women have risked their lives. Come to me. Someday soon, that paper may well affect the course of history. In that thought is drama, is there not? So he's telling him, I'm going to get a paper very soon. It's a very important paper, and many people are risking their lives to get that paper to me. And that paper is going to affect the course of history. As he spoke, Ausable closed the door behind him. Then he switched on the light. So until then, it was pitch dark. And as the light came on, Fowler had his first authentic thrill of the day. So when was the first authentic thrill of the day? When Ausable switched on the light, and halfway across the room, there was a man standing there with a small automatic pistol in his hand. So, this is when he starts getting the first thrill of the day, when he meets an anonymous man. Ausable blinked a few times. Max, he wheezed, you gave me quite a start, so you took me by surprise. I thought you were in Berlin. What are you doing here in my room? So he was taken aback or taken by surprise. Max was slender, a little less than tall, with features that suggested slightly the crafty. So crafty means sly. The other meaning of sly is cunning. Pointed countenance of a fox. So countenance means either expression or facial features. So either the face or the expression of a fox. So we always call a fox cunning, isn't it? So he had a expression of a fox. There was about him, aside from the gun, nothing especially menacing. So apart from the gun, there was nothing dangerous about him or threatening about him. The report, he murmured, the report that is being brought to you tonight concerning some new missiles. So, the report is about missiles, and that is why Ausable had said that it is going to affect the course of history. I thought I would take it from you. It will be safer in my hands than in yours. So he wants to take that report away from him. So he has come to steal the report from Ausable. Ausable moved to an armchair and sat down heavily. I'm going to raise the devil with the management this time. So, raise the devil. The meaning of this phrase is cause commotion or protest. So he says, I am going to protest against you with the management this time, and you can bet on it. That means I'm definitely going to do it. He said grimly. This is the second time in a month that somebody has got into my room through the nuisance of a balcony. So he's saying that this is the second time somebody has gotten inside his room through the balcony. Fowler's eyes went to the single window of the room. It was an ordinary window against which now the night was pressing blackly. Because if you remember, it is midnight. So it was pitch dark outside. Balcony? Max said with a raising inflection. No, a pass key. I did not know about the balcony. It might have saved me some trouble had I known. So, Max says, I didn't come to the balcony. If I had known about the balcony, I would have used that and saved some trouble of mine. But I used a pass key. That means a duplicate key to come inside. It's not my balcony, Alcibiade said with extreme irritation. It belongs to the next apartment. He glanced explanatory at Fowler. So now he's giving an entire explanation about this balcony. You see, he said, this room used to be part of a large unit, and the next room through that door there used to be the living room. It had the balcony which extended under my window now. You can get onto it from the empty room two doors down, and somebody did last month. The management promised to block it off, but they haven't. So here, he is making up a story here. So you will know why as we go towards the end of the story. Max glanced at Fowler, who was standing stiffly not far from Ausable. So Fowler was standing stiffly because all this is new to him, and waved the gun with a commanding gesture. Please sit down, he said. We have a wait of half an hour, I think. So he knows in how much time the report will come to him. 31 minutes, Ausable said moodily. So it's not 30, it is 31 minutes to be precise. The appointment was for 12:30. So 12:30 a.m. So it is exactly midnight, or it is going to be midnight. I wish I knew how you learned about the report, Max. So he is curious. He wants to know how did Max come to know about the report. The little spy smiled evilly. Oh, so there's this evil smile that he's giving. And we wish we knew how your people got the report. So it looks like he's a rival and he wants to know how did they get the report. But no harm has been done. I will get it back tonight. What is that? Who is at the door? So by then somebody's knocking at the door and it is midnight. Fowler jumped at the sudden knocking at the door. So he was startled because it is night now. Ausable just smiled. That will be the police, he said. I thought that such an important paper as the one we are waiting for should have a little extra protection. So he's saying I forecasted or anticipated that something like this would happen, and therefore I wanted some extra protection, and therefore I have called the police. I told them to check on me to make sure everything was all right. So now he's saying, Max, that you are in hot water. That means you are in trouble. Max bit his lip nervously. The knocking was repeated. What will you do now, Max? Ausable asked. If I do not answer the door, they will enter anyway. The door is unlocked and they will not hesitate to shoot. So he is scaring Max, saying your life is in danger. They might come in any moment and they will not hesitate to shoot you. Max's face was black with anger as he backed swiftly towards the window because he got to know that there was a balcony there below the window. He swung a leg over the sill, that is the window sill. Send them away, he warned. I will wait on the balcony. Send them away or I will shoot and take my chances. So he says, send them or else I will shoot and I will take a chance by killing you all. The knocking at the door became louder and a voice was raised. Mr. Ausable, Mr. Ausable. So the person behind the door is getting impatient. So he's taken one leg and put it over the windowsill. So this is the windowsill, and this is Mr. Ausable, and this is Fowler. Keeping his body twisted so that his gun still covered the fat man and his guest, the man at the window grasped the frame with his free hand to support himself. Then he swung his other leg up and over the windowsill. The door knob turned, so that person is entering now. Swiftly, Max pushed with his left hand to free himself from the sill and dropped to the balcony. And then, as he dropped, he screamed once shrilly. So, just screamed once means he fell from the sixth floor, he fell down. The door opened, and a waiter stood there with a tray, a bottle, and two glasses. Here is the drink you ordered for when you returned, he said. So, they had ordered room service, and that was here, and set the tray on the table, deftly uncorked the bottle. So, the meaning of the word deftly means skillfully and done quickly, and left the room. White faced, Fowler stared after him, but he stammered, "The police?" There was no police, Ausable sighed. Only Henry, whom I was expecting. So, the server or the waiter was Henry. But won't that man out on the balcony? Fowler begins to start getting scared. So now that man is going to kill us. No, said Alcibil. He won't return. You see, my young friend, there is no balcony. So he's fallen down and died. So this is the story of how Ausable, a spy agent, very smartly thinks on his feet during a very difficult situation, and because of his quick wit and thinking, saved their lives and gave an adventure to the writer. So this was the explanation of the entire story. If you haven't subscribed, do it immediately so that you don't miss any important videos. Study well, and you can use some of these synonyms that I have taught you in your answers to make your answers stand out so that you can get better scores. All the very best. I am praying for you. God bless.